Hey listeners, powered up by Mazer Group, this is the Turnin Dirt podcast. I'm your host, John Mazer.
Hey John, how are you?
I'm fucking great, Kris. How are you?
Good.
I swore right off the bat there,
Hey.
making a little PG action.
Yeah, there you go.
PG-14 or whatever. For our listeners, we've got Kris Heshka in the hot seat today at Turnin Dirt. Kris, I've got a little bit of history with Kris. Formerly met him when you were at KF, working at KF.
Yeah.
That was when I moved out here in 2019. And then we actually had the privilege of working together at Mazer Group. You were our first customer success coordinator that we hired.
Yeah.
And that went very well. And then in the fall, you came into my office and I saw the look and I was like, I know this is not going to be good, but I still love you. Like whatever you tell me right now, I don't care. I'm still going to love you. But there was an opportunity that came up with Kris. And it was Red Leaf.
That's right. Yeah. Always, bittersweet. I loved working at Mazer Group. I've had, a seeding and a good harvest season under my belt. And they built a great business here, John. You got a ton of good people in the building.
Thanks, man. Yeah, you were definitely an addition to that, and it was sad to see you go. But I mean, everybody's got the opportunities they got to jump on, so it was completely understandable. So,
and thanks for taking it so well. You guys have been a promoter, and it's kind of cool to work again on the other side of it.
Yeah, you betcha. And we've been talking about maybe how we get into business together again at one point. But I mean, maybe that'd be a couple years down the road. But obviously, we never lose touch.
Absolutely.
So that'll keep going. So Red Leaf. We don't have to go through your recruiting process or anything, but it's a new business started up in Regina. You want to take it from there?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can intro the project, and Jim, we could probably cue that project video. But in short, I think the project was announced when I was at Economic Development Regina before moving out to KF, and it was at KF, just being in the agriculture and value added business, that I met the Red Leaf guys. And in short, when you look at when I was analyzing and seeing about, jumping on this project, it really kind of just spoke to me the opportunity for manufacturing in for agriculture fiber, as just a big thing. There's been such a big focus on manufacturing for the canola crushing plants, all value added manufacturing for food products. And that's been such a big focus, but no one's really been able to crack the nut at scale, at the right scale, the right product and the right technology for fiber. There's been a few failures, but when I actually started to look under the hood of what pulp is as a global commodity, it's a big opportunity and the right product, good margins and a good business.
Nice. So when we talk about pulp, for our listeners, when we harvest our crops around here, we have a byproduct of straw that comes out the back of the combine. Some people chop it up and leave it in the fields. You are able to drop straw, what they call, put it in little windrows, and then they bale it up. Some's used for straw bales for horse bedding, stuff like that.
The standard uses.
Yeah, and what Kris is doing is you're actually taking that byproduct of straw, and the idea is that you're going to produce a pulp out of it, which is kind of it's a bulk product being sold to an end user to be able to mold into. I like using the paper plate thing.
Yeah, that's probably the easiest. Jim's got a picture thrown up there.
That's perfect.
So it's kind of the simplest way to explain exactly what we do. Producers make the bales. We turn it into that middle product. That's market grade pulp, and then we sell that to our offtake partners. That plate was done on a trial last year by Dart Container. So Dart Container, they're a lead equity investor with us, and they've secured 20% of our offtake. And so they're our exclusive partner for molded products. So all things, and people of course should know them from the iconic Red Solo Cup. So
they're the maker.
They're the maker. Yeah.
No
so
shit.
So it's so cool to have that in the back pocket.
We need pulp Solo Cups. You know what I'm saying?
Pulp Solo Cup. Man.
We need to play Flip Cup with your product.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, it's so cool. And molded products is one really strong segment. Obviously, there's a lot of synergy when you think about, hey, maybe you can take your takeout food from a package that was made from Saskatchewan golden wheat straw. A little bit of synergy there. But all the other segments, we're still developing. We did a really large trial for towel and tissue, and so that's really great results. I think those will be being published in the next kind of couple weeks to a couple months and stuff. So it's moving in the right direction. The challenge, it's such a big project, and in the same way that and I'm out there talking. We got 150 producers that I talk to on a fairly regular basis, and in the same way that they don't plan their crop rotations. We're starting in 2026.
Yep.
On the flip side, the purchasers of our pulp, they don't buy a couple of years out either. So
right.
we're really trying to go from 0 to 1 with the business, and that's just it takes a lot of horsepower to move that uphill. So
and timing, as you said, and you just give our listeners a little right now, obviously very elementary stage, if you will, or not elementary, but
it's early projects planning. So about 30% of the engineering that was done, that aerial video fly through shows about 30% of the engineering done, and it's just the stage gating. We have a really strong leadership team that has just a swath of project experience like this, and so you got to incrementally hit all the milestones, but we're well on the way. Got some really good news in the past couple months on some of the regulatory and some other really significant partnerships and stuff. So it's all moving in the right direction, but it's a big ship. So
you betcha, and it takes a while to steer a ship. So in the creation of the business per se, and you still have to break ground on the actual processing plant or whatever, which hopefully is going to happen soon. But you're speaking about kind of regulatory, getting all that stuff done. Obviously you guys have been making moves on that kind of stuff, man.
Yeah, exactly. There was a big technical lift, a lot of work to be done technically, and so the plate that you saw there, that was manufactured in Edmonton. We have a material demonstration plant. So, like I said, in the same way that farmers aren't planning out their 2026 and 2027 rotations, these manufacturers actually needed something to look, feel, and touch, and actually run at scale. So we have a pilot plant a material demonstration plant in Edmonton that we run on, and then are able to do the tests. So that's kind of like our technical side, and that portion is pretty much complete. We expanded our feedstock. So originally it was wheat, durum and non-durum, all varieties. We've also added oats and barley, and then our product development is going to continue to chase those novel feedstocks, looking at rye and canary seed and some of these other larger straw producers. So so that's kind of the technical side. The project itself, like I said, we've just kind of completed, with big projects like this and global risks, currency and all those things. Our team has done a really good job of just sharpening the pencil and to a project we can wrap our arms around. And then my spot is kind of off to the side. I kind of initiate everything. So my interface and my relationship with the project is, once we get operations, we're going to shake hands at the door where I hand the feedstock off to the straw when we deliver the bale. So it's kind of funny. I'm with the project and have a pretty good handle, but my core focus is all the agriculture operations and planning and agreements and stuff with the producers.
So Kris, what's the bigger expense? Is it solidifying enough straw and raw product to create this, or is it in the production and the breakdown of it into an end user product?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think what you're getting at. So we're a value added manufacturer, and John, you talked about some of the past uses and stuff. Where I think we're pretty congruent with cattle operations right now. Only about 2 or 3% of the straw is actually swathed and used. Most of it is returned back to the ground. No-till, zero-till practices have done just such an amazing job over the last 30, 40 years, turning the dirt back into good soil. Yeah. So, in essence, I think what you're asking, John, Jim, we have about $110 a ton landed cost to get the straw to the Regina facility. And then right now, market grade pulp's around $1,000 a ton. So we have a pretty big, heavy lift and some good margins. When we pass the threshold of over $700 a ton for our finished pulp, we actually have a profit sharing back to the producer for those original tons that they commit. So it's like I said, we pay about $30 a ton for the feedstock. We have about a $35 expense to have it baled and stacked, and then another $30 a ton cost to pick up the straw and get it to the Regina facility, and then after that, through our process, we sell it for over $700 a ton. So it's a we're such a small player on the global market. It's a $200 billion global market that grows 3 or 4% a year, and when
That's crazy.
Yeah, those
are big numbers.
It is. It's absolutely wild.
And this is just on the pulp side. Like it's a
that's pulp. So that's the whole pulp industry and aggregate, and basically how it breaks down is any pulp that comes out of wood is just standard pulp. Any feedstocks that aren't wood is called alternative pulp. So we're kind of leaders in this niche segment, but it's all part of the bigger market.
So out of all that bales that
straw.
you receive, straw.
Yeah.
When you say pulp grade, there's a certain quality control that it has to meet requirements to be able to be used for these products.
So
and you separate that. You acknowledge that
a little bit. So I guess the core part of our technology and what we've able to found success, because this has been tried globally a few times, but in short, we have some really fantastic screening and pre-processing technology. That's the core of our IP. And in short, we can we have a technical specification that we can have as input, but it's pretty standard because we have such a robust kind of screening and washing program. The pulp that we make, there are different grades of it, and again, it's so funny because I'm really like the agriculture focus side, but I've had to kind of backfill on what pulp is. It's such a crazy thing, and but in short, there are different grades of pulp. The one that we climate closely aligned to, because you think about all the factors of these products, the towel and tissue has different absorbency properties, things of that nature, tear and all of that kind of stuff. And some of them are product based, some of them are actually how the products are manufactured. So there's just like a whole, technical,
interesting.
And our technical team is just awesome. They've basically top players from all the major pulp businesses in Canada. So we compete. Our product falls right between what we basically call like South American eucalyptus, where they have they grow tree crops for harvesting into pulp, and
no way.
So it's a little bit of a lower grade than ours. And then the there's hardwood pulp, and then the major one is called NBSK, Northern Bleached Kraft pulp. And so that's when you think about paper and most applications in pulp, like that's kind of the standard. So we kind of compete higher than eucalyptus, but in and out of NBSK as a direct replacement in a lot of cases.
Yeah, crazy.
Sweet.
So when you said earlier, Kris, when you initially started, you were talking about like wheat and like durum straw. I think we touched on this a little bit yesterday, but you're looking into different varietals of straw, and does each one make a different style of pulp? Or are you able to blend them all together to make your the product that you guys are able to sell?
Yeah, good question. Our product will be homogeneous. It's like we're talking tens of tons per hour,
sure.
Right? So it's all going to be we'll probably sell one consistent product. It's really we can match. I think we can do a lot of different things for user specific. If a large vendor is interested, it's a big opportunity. We're seeking offtake agreements right now, and it's one. The fascinating thing when I we're talking about the origins and when I looked at this project, the kind of sustainability and ESG movement has been so relevant in the last kind of 7, 8, 10 years. And, with political changes happening and stuff, our project actually stands on its own legs with this. And so it's pretty cool to represent a product that is actually, widely needed, and has those environmental benefits. So everything from, you think about, how many boxes Amazon, is pushing out, it's just going to be an expansion model. So, and that's the other thing, our business, we're looking at Regina as the first project, but we have a templated model and
sure.
anticipate, many facilities.
Yeah, because
once North America,
once you get rolling in Regina and kind of prove, it's a proven product that you're producing here, like very sellable to other regions, if you will. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Is there a? I know maybe I'm going too deep here on you, but like, was there a growth plan to like go into the States or anything? Or are they doing it already down there?
Yeah, absolutely. We think we like both sides of the market. Our partners, Dark Container, they're south of the border, so we're looking at the Midwest and stuff. But it's there's so much abundant opportunity, but then we got to stay laser focused on delivering the first project. So at a high level, we've got a lot of flexibility. And the other thing is too, on some of our technology, we have a really good vested interest with some of our OEMs for the pulping equipment. They have equipment that's deployed globally. And so they're looking to, learn and in conjunction with us. And then we're looking to relicense that, our pulping technology internationally as well.
Wow.
So operate some and license it internationally. So.
Yeah. Maybe a good time to queue up the video of like just the whole process of how it works. Can we do that right now?
Yeah, that's probably for producers, to be able to see it right from the start to finish. Absolutely. I made this video. If you play with the sound, Jim, it's kind of got the how it's made vibe to it.
It's amazing.
I love it.
The straw bales are transported to the Regina Alternative Fiber Facility. The straw bales are detwined, chopped, and screened. The chopped straw is washed. The clean chopped straw is refined into pulp.
So that's essentially what's going to be built in Regina, right?
Yeah, exactly. So our site's on the west side of town, just northeast of the northwest of the GTH, on the west side there. And you saw the shot of the storage site. So we're going to have 6 satellite storage sites as well. So kind of first stage at harvest, bales come off the field to our storage site and then to the facility. The other thing on our product side, we get a shot of it right away. So this is just the shot of the final pulp bales infrastructure. And so it's kind of funny, we get straw bales in and we make pulp bales going out. And there's all that terminology. We can ship via container or rail. And that building right there, it's there's kind of 2 sides to it. So in layman's terms, when you look at the plant cellular tissue and makeup, there's 3 constituents. There's hemicellulose, which is water soluble. That kind of just washes away and is part of our effluent system. And then the 2 main parts are cellulose pulp.
Yeah.
So that's our main product. And then there's this little known product called lignin that's referred to as nature's glue. So we dissolve that out, and that's how you make pulp. But I guess here's an easy way to think about it. Most pulping facilities use what's called the craft process, craft pulping. And in essence, one of the main chemicals is sulfur. And if you think about wood dust or wood chips and like how do you break that down? So they use sulfur to help break down the lignins. And when you think about straw being, you can break it down with your hands. It takes a lot less energy. Yeah. So we don't use any sulfur in our process. And what that means is we actually have a really great platform to produce sulfur-free lignin. And if you want to go down a rabbit hole, lignin is like the one to go through. But basically it's the hot product for bioplastics, ABS replacements, high value electronic parts. You can carbonize it. Like there's a whole bunch of kind of that biorefining product line and stuff. So we're building the platform to have a really good product, and our distinguishing feature is that it's sulfur free, which is huge for the industry.
And so that lignin, like, it's a byproduct of what you're doing, or is it like your
correct. So like when you look at like on a zoomed in level, there's kind of 3 parts to the plant: the hemicellulose, the lignin, and then the cellulose pulp. And so to get the cellulose, we take the hemicellulose and the lignin out, basically. So it's a byproduct, but it's a co-product of ours.
So it'll go back into actually making the pulp, or no?
No, it's a standalone product to be developed, and it's one of those things like we're at such an early stage, even with these, but I guess there's been a lot of buzz about it, but a lot of it gets greenwashed with hopes and dreams and stuff, just because it's the product development time to actually launch a industrial biochemical at scale. So it's got a lot of future. We don't really know what that looks like.
Right.
That facility looks wild to me. That's
crazy.
Huge.
It's a big project, man. It's like a $650 million project. So it's right scope and scale with, the canola crushing plants and with that scale comes significant investment, and we're talking about I think we just did a bit of a study, 1.7 billion in direct economic impact for the Regina area, and so those are again big numbers, over 140, 150 full-time jobs expected for
my
the
next
plant.
question was going to be
That's a slight barrier of entry to this industry, right? Like, I'm not just going to pop up a pulp facility, creation facility.
That's why it's hard to really go from 0 to 1. It's a big lift, but again, it's hard to not analyze the global context here. With some of the projects that have gone offshore, and what I tell producers, like, the number one thing is secure a reasonable position for your straw, and let's make this project happen, because there's not a lot of these major projects rolling into the area, and the opportunity once it's built, it's 100 years, right? It's gonna run for a long time.
What do farmers usually do to produce revenue off their straw? If they didn't have something like this, what is out there?
It's a big calculus. Like, in short, most just return the straw back to the land. I would say that's kind of the safest, easiest thing to do. Back, through the years, no-till has certainly helped and brought a lot of that soil back. But like I said, I think it's like 2 or 3% actually gets harvested, and I would say like 99% of that probably just goes directly to animal bedding and a few other applications.
So to quickly answer your question, that would kind of be the only other revenue stream coming off of a farmer's straw, is to bale it and sell it for like a bedding or something like that, which is, this is why I love this project.
And that market, it's challenging because you don't know. That market kind of just goes with beef prices, and again, it's just such a huge calculus.
So
every farmer's
you're truly bridging the gap between these people, like your end producer that needs this product to create sellable products like those pulp plates that are environmentally friendly, but you also have producers that produce this product that really don't have a lot of options to liquidate it and make it useful. So you're truly bridging that gap of creating
that's
the best of both worlds.
You look at you can come on the road with me and we can pitch the producer.
Well, that's great, though.
But you nailed it, Jim. That's exactly it. And like I said, it's about the opportunity and kind of the pushback that I do get from farmers, which is the right questions, is all like, how is this going to impact my farm in the long term? So we're obviously very interested in that same question, which is allows us to navigate and one thing that I've queued up actually is probably worth showing up there in the pictures. A big thing that I've had to learn, John, I never had a sales role previous to this one. So I've had to learn the sales part, but also the agronomy part.
Sure.
Either one of those, there you go, Jim. So most producers would be somewhat familiar with a map like this, just showing the different soil types. And then I drew a little circle around our area, and you can kind of see the dark black soil, the dark brown, and then the light brown, and so that's kind of a circle for our targeted area. And if you go to the next picture, Jim, we put a number system, so we have kind of our top zone, and this is all kind of backed by the leading agronomists and professors from University of Saskatchewan that reference first and foremost assessing how much straw you can give by your soil zone. So we've broken those soil zones out. And then if you go to the next picture, this kind of represents, what a visual rotation would look like. So if you're in zone 1, you can comfortably commit about a third of your straw, and that means you're returning straw from 2 other crops back. Yep. And so as you go down into some of the other areas, we can reduce that all the way responsibly to about a 1/6 of their rotation, and all that does is when you think about that specific field, again, it's going to have up to five crops returned to it, and so somewhere in between all of that, there's a balance of getting the farmers and maybe an extra 10 to 30% on their cereal rotation, and then spreading that out so they're supplying every year but just a lesser amount. So those are the kind of conversations that I walk through with producers, and find that split, and with that too, when you think about de-risking, is it more riskful, or is it more of a risk to participate a small amount, because with that you get some, like I mentioned, the profit sharing portions and stuff. So we're looking for early adopters, so again, from a risk standpoint, you're replacing that fiber every 5 out of 6 years. So kind of a halfway approach.
So did you pick all that up?
It's
a lot, but you said it very well, Kris. So essentially, for our listeners that kind of want it in layman's terms, right now, take it for example that obviously Red Leaf's not collecting the straw, and will do in a year or so. But right now, I think a lot of producers are just putting the straw back into the ground right now. And obviously there is an agronomical advantage to that, with putting the nutrients back in the soil. And depending on what soil type you have, is going to allow you to, or is going to let you know how many times you're able to kind of skip a year and provide the straw to Red Leaf and not put it back in the ground without damaging the I guess the fertility and the
and that's why and I do have one more picture there. It's a 4-bullet point, just an easy reference there. The first and foremost, it comes down to your soil type, but then also on the field level. So there's kind of the macro, but then the micro. Certain fields, certain areas in fields, you're going to want to return it. So we're flexible with that. We understand the dynamic nature of agriculture. Producers, we structure the contracts so producers can make the best operational choice, which is what makes the whole thing stand on its legs. And then, like I said, we have a balanced approach. You want to look at your rotations year over year, because some producers just have a 2-crop rotation. Some have a 3. Some are introducing more novel crops, and so there's again, it's just a big calculus. But we kind of point producers to consider it. Well, for your cereal rotation, one every X years, 2 or 3 per every 6 is an easy thing to wrap your head around. If you're a 6,000 acre farm, hey, I can actually just commit. Let's just do 1,000 acres, and there's benefits. There's risks, but they're kind of mitigated both ways, and within that calculus too, there's replacement costs for nutrients. Basically, when you take the straw off, there's 2 major things that are impacted: your nitrogen and then your soil organic carbon. So again, those interact differently. Some fields are going to be better. On the saving side, there's a ton of savings on the fuel. So when we talk about returning the crop back to the field and it's all chopped up and shredded, it's a 35-40 horsepower engine that's running all harvest to blow that out. It's a lot of fuel, so there's savings on the fuel right away. Maintenance and those kind of things as well. Harrowing needs in the springtime, all of that kind of factors in. And so it's like I said, we walk through those conversations, and I guess it's funny. I'm about a year and a bit in, and it's really taken me that long to understand the producer's perspective. It's like it's almost like when you start, you don't know what you don't know. But in short, that's why we created the producers portal.
Head on into it, because so right now, obviously,
which is called Red Leaf Connect.
Red Leaf Connect, yes, and this is the app that's coming out right now, and it's strictly for producers that are interested in getting involved in Red Leaf's products and supplying straw. So this is something that you've developed on your own.
It's crazy.
which
John,
is unreal.
Yeah, well, we talked about like different technologies and stuff over the years, and it's kind of funny in the age of AI. I taught myself how to code, and I did the
He's coding.
Yeah.
He's going to be the new Mark Zuckerberg. He's just going to.
I love it.
Yeah. So I developed the app as really a response. Just hearing things from the farmer. Again, when you think about what how do our interactions go and stuff, and I found myself, I'd go and talk to someone and we have a great conversation, be all aligned and stuff, and maybe even just pass some paperwork or some emails, but everything kind of just gets lost in the mix. And when you think about what we're really selling is a project that is coming in 2 years from now, how do you make that tangible? So this is a way that producers can sign in, comfortably see our pricing, get familiar. There's resources about the project, all the agronomy. We have a straw seller's guide in it, and so it's really just become an accumulation of kind of what I've learned over the last year. Yeah. And like I said, for producers, they just in under 5 minutes, you fill in your information, you can create an estimate, and then we can just advance from there. So we do have a little a teaser trailer. So pretty excited. We're targeting to launch early to mid next week for the web version. So
Welcome to Red Leaf Connect, the easiest way to get top value for your flax or cereal straw while boosting your farm's bottom line. Download the app or search Red Leaf Connect online to see their multi-year pricing and join their straw purchasing program starting in 2026. Inside the app, you'll also find their straw seller's guide with strategies to help you earn more without sacrificing soil health or long-term productivity. Plan ahead. Download Red Leaf Connect today.
Bam.
Thanks. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Thanks, man.
A nice little teaser there. So,
Zuckerberg, baby.
I know, right?
Well,
it's coming.
It's funny because as we learn about modern agriculture and the business, like because I thought I was kind of expecting a little bit of pushback, but when I sent the kind of texts out and sharing that, I was really impressed with our producers and the excitement for it. And like I said, I mean it's a little app. It's not going to change the world, but at least it gives producers something they can all log into. Yep. Even if you're out of our targeted zone, we like to, I call it kind of mapping negative space too. In Saskatchewan, we talked about that expansion plan, and certainly, from our geographic area, we're kind of getting a lot of interest from my old stomping grounds to the northeast, Melville, Yorkton area, and then obviously directly north too. So it's kind of nice to have a platform, and I can punch all that stuff in and get everything mapped out and see where interest is coming from. It's pretty cool. And then, for me too, long-term planning, that's going to directly go into an operational platform where we get down to the field level and we just, because it's got to be a project like this. Like we're going to be moving 1 million bales.
Yeah. Which is crazy.
It's crazy.
And so the transaction part between Red Leaf and the producer happens at the edge of the field. I think we were talking about this yesterday. And so, Red Leaf in purchasing the straw off the producer happens at field edge. And so you've got a couple options for producers. Obviously, they can bale and stack themselves and put it to edge of field, and then obviously Red Leaf takes care of the logistics. But you'll probably have a baling option through Red Leaf if that's what the producer wants.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we break it down. We technically have 3 options. So there's some operators out there that are currently doing this as a business. So we do have a contractor option where we basically just make a standalone deal. Hey, if you want to bring it, we're an option for that. And then, like you said, for producers that are signing supply agreements, they can either bale and stack their own, or they can let us do it. Exactly right. So you can see the broken out pricing on that. And I haven't totally figured out, what the kind of threshold is in terms of acres. But, part of the work I want to do is like at some point, on a certain amount of acres, it's just going to justify that equipment package in a annual year over year agreement. I think the big caveat too, and what I'm most excited to start getting into operations to track is just the yield. Like we have some basic assumptions about yield, but yield is, for the straw, years like this where there's a lot of early rain and stuff is a huge straw crop. 24 was, and so that's another major component to it. So.
Right on, Jim. Just so you know, from a producer standpoint, right now, if they're not doing anything with their straw, they're just chopping it and decide to get on board with Red Leaf and provide some straw. It's literally one lever on your combine. to go from chopping your straw to dropping it into windrows that eventually can be baled.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not much, so that's why again, I find it so profound that it's one setting on a combine for Enable to get on board with this, and literally you guys can take it from there if that's what the producer wants.
And I think the fear for a lot of producers is like, oh, the over promise, I laugh, some of our friends, they talk about, if I was to stack up every, application that would give 5 bushels extra, I'd be, making 200 bushel, whatever. So, that's certainly the perspective from the producer side, but I mean, we're going to do a lot of things right at the right scale. So you mentioned, just our structure, shaking hands at the field. That one with the map is kind of what we're referencing now. But that's where it kind of ends for the producer. But we have a big promise that says, hey, we got to get there and get this stuff baled. I mean, there's lots of stories of straw purchasers that just abandon it and stuff. So we're going to have to fight through those challenges and convince a few people. That one with the that guy. Yeah. So that's in operational years, that kind of highlights how it works right now. Because again, we're going to be starting in 26. So producers commit by gross amount of acres now, and that's how we set up the agreements. But then when we get into operational years, we'll actually get down to the field level and we'll zoom in. It's like, okay, that's 160 acres, and here's exactly with a field loading where the bales are going to be stacked, the approaches, et cetera, et cetera. So and it's at that point, we can shake hands, do our measuring and weights and all that stuff, and close the accounts. So in those operational years, we're going to be given I think it's a 25 or 30% down payment at the end of April. So we're going to participate and support an early payment on that straw at the time of seeding. So that helps a little bit. And then we close once we pick up the bales and their weights. So.
Yeah, interesting. You talked about, other projects like this, that have, either overpromised, underdelivered, or abandoned. If there's any Manitoba listeners now, I don't know, the one I'm talking about, but exactly. On number one on the way from Brandon to Winnipeg, right around that Portage area, there was a production facility that I think was just specific to flax bales. And there was I'm going to say a decade, there was piles and piles of flax bales there. And it started going, I'm not sure what happened to it, but obviously they stopped producing, and those flax bale piles stayed there for a while. So, but obviously they were focused on just flax. I'm not sure what the output was. I want to say it was particle board or something like that. Or I've heard also, because out of flax bales, you can make toilet paper, I think. Too. So I'm not sure what was coming out of that factory, but again, it's unfortunate that that one happened like that. But obviously more diverse here. So
you're bang on. You're exactly at it. They were making particle board, and there were a few other factors. I believe that there were some farmer groups that kind of inflated the pricing of the straw itself and kind of killed the opportunity. That was kind of one version of the story, and then part of but so I kind of you hear all these stories and you look up the old news articles and you hear about the rats and the fires and all the and it's like, oh man, that scares a lot of people. But where I like to zoom out from it is about the product. Okay, so again, when you look at what we're doing with it, selling that another commodity product. I mean, we talk about this all the time. Well, there's a reason why we're bringing the canola crushing plants to Saskatchewan, and so that we can have a higher margin on that finished oil. I mean, we're talking about it with petroleum and refining as well. And it's just every time you look at it, it makes a lot of sense to invest in the infrastructure. So again, we're making a product that has a huge growing global demand, so I think it's matching pulp with it is the right product, because there's once the straw is delivered to the plant, there's no technical risk. It's all been done. We're doing it at scale. We're doing our tests. I don't want to name drop, but I mean it's all the major towel and tissue manufacturers, and if anybody's not, they should be participating in it. And then we have all these other segments. So it's really cool to have a partner with Dart, and I don't hear it firsthand. I hear it secondhand through the team. But I mean, they're really excited to again. You think about the legislation. There's old legacy, styrofoam plants being closed down and stuff. So the opportunity is there. The technical side is solved. It's just opportunity. It's a lot of hard work to just get that straw to the plant door and build it.
So Kris, I'm like, what is your number one barrier? If you had endless supply of straw, could you sell it?
In terms of pulp?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Like, so it's kind of funny too, just in the timing of things. Our founding CEO, when they're in the early stages before my time, they're putting the project together, and it's like, okay, how do we de-risk certain things? It's like, well, go get an offtake agreement for someone to buy your material. That checks a box to de-risk.
Kind of a letter of intent.
Exactly. So Martin Pudlis, our founding CEO, went to China, and I think and all over Asia, and in 5 days he sold 150% of what our capacity is.
Oh, no way.
And this was 2 or 3 years ago. And so then when he comes back, it's like, well, maybe there should be some de-risking geopolitically, like what's the North American market got going on. And so that was kind of really then after that. So I think the Asia and specifically China, they buy like 30 or 40% of the global. Like, it's a huge amount. Not like, not unlike a lot of other commodities too.
Sure.
And so it's kind of funny when you look at, the current political situation and tariffs and things of that nature. We're sitting in a good spot, being able to look at facilities in the States, also support facilities in the States, and then the ability to export. Again, we're at an early stage. A lot can happen between now and then, but again, the right product, the right technology, we've got a lot of opportunities.
Show me the straw.
Yeah, exactly.
Show me the straw.
Well, I love when your boss sells 150% of your capacity. When my boss does that, I'm like, you know what, boss of the year.
Oh man,
come over here. Totally. Let me give you a boss of the year award.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I can't express enough our
I'm just joking.
Like I said, our leadership and our technical team. I'm really proud to represent the project here because these guys are heavy hitters in the industry.
Yeah, pretty awesome though. Like, I mean, I hear what you're saying. Like, just add another half day to the week, or another another half day to a day's work, right? But the fact that's
when problems are solved though.
Yeah,
when you're under the gun, that's when you learn to do things more efficiently and get things done.
That.
Yeah, and like I mean, just in what you said there, Kris. Like, I mean, you're able to, if you needed to, export more than you're able to produce.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it paints the picture for multiple facilities.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So awesome. It's so awesome. So like, I mean,
it's funny for a little guy that I'm not a little guy. I'm a big guy actually. I'm about 6'6", but it's funny to have grown up on a little cattle farm north of Yorkton, and like this Christmas and stuff, we're running on the bales, the windrow, and so it's just so funny, like where life takes you and come back around, and it's pretty surreal. So.
Running on the bales as a kid, and little did you know, like, this is going to be a big part of your life and what you're going to do with those bales, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so crazy.
Surprise there.
Yeah. Crazy, man. So 2026, you're hoping to get started. For yourself, Kris, so right now, obviously, you're a solo man on the ground as of right now for the project, right?
I'm the first employee here in Regina. Yeah. Our technical team and head office is in BC, and a few folks in Saskatoon.
Yeah.
As
So
well.
I don't know if this is digging too deep, and if you can't say anything, but like, okay, like hypothetically, everything goes to plan, and you start break ground the facility. Where do you train somebody for something like that? Like, if there's listeners in Regina that are like, wow, this would be something interesting to get involved in.
For the plant itself?
For the plant itself.
The plant. I think it's a fairly standard processing positions. It'll be a wide spectrum. So
Gotcha.
It's not unlike any other industrial site, like a refinery or Evraz or any of those. So similar type process
Gotcha.
stuff. We got a lot of ambitions. We want to develop. We've talked about certain relationships with some of the smaller technical schools, SAIT and Gabriel Dumont. I think I can't remember a few of them. We've reached out to. So very interested. It's not uncommon to have our own kind of training programs and give back to the community. So that's been discussed. But again, with time. So.
And so when the plant opens up, are you for Kris? Are you involved in the plant itself? Or are you like, I think you mentioned you're staying on the agriculture side of things. So.
Yeah.
Where does Kris end up when, like, say, we're running full capacity?
Yeah, little hard to tell right now. So we're in, trying to build the first one, and I'm the director of our feedstock aggregation, and so I think we're just staying nimble to that. I think I'm going to have my fingerprints all over the operations in terms of planning, all the route planning, logistics, equipment, all of that. But yeah, in terms of just where we're going, we don't know what facility number 2 and 3 looks like.
Sure.
Like I said, it's really nice to have built this platform. So when we are planning on expanding, it's a really quick to deployment to explore other areas, because essentially it's the feedstock that needs to be secured to validate the plant. And it's interesting. I've kind of become a student of some of the other multinational companies, and some of the podcasts or interviews I've heard. It's really focused on that. Their plant, because wood and forestry has just been under attack. It's not under attack literally, but it's just economically challenging.
Yep.
You got to go and you hear about pulp plant closures and stuff. So we're kind of chasing it from the other way. So where I land, I'm flexible to it. But like I said, kind of build the technology and expand as we go.
There's a clear job at hand right now, and obviously you're doing an amazing job at it, being proactive with the app.
Trying to stay focused with so much opportunity.
Yeah, really, right? Yeah. So just for fun for our listeners, like I know we showed the picture of paper plates. Like, is there any other cool, notable products that can be made out of pulp? Like, I mean...
I think it's just your standard stuff. Like I think the molded products, catch the eye. But there's it's funny, and not to get too far into the weeds, but we're some of the trials for the towel and tissue. It's like, man, you want to make sure it's screened properly, and you can get to that. That's a question we get. Is there's not going to be a little shiv of straw in your toilet paper, and even when they make
those can hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Even when they manufacture the paper, the one thing that we made an early decision on, which is environmentally driven, was just to not bleach our product, and so we're pretty proud of the color, that golden Saskatchewan straw, and so how that's going to roll out for our offtake partners and their manufacturing can be a bunch of different ways. You can hide it, put it in between layers of paper and just have it as a slightly opaque, and the reality is a large portion of our offtake is probably going to be blended. So gotcha. where that molded plate was saw, that's 100%. We would likely see like a 20 or 30% blend, and so there's an economic aspect there for our manufacturers and stuff, but it's a big commodity. It moves at scale. It's all manufactured at scale. So that's where we want it. We don't really want to not right now participate in novel or innovative, just because we're about scope and scale and healthy margins.
Yeah, so. And from an environmental standpoint, like obviously being straw, coming from the ground, like I mean any product that's made out of biodegradable, all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah, exactly. And again, one way to look at this, I've done a few speeches on it, but I mean, at the end of it, if we're going to curb, like I'm a big supporter of Western Canadian oil and gas, but if we're gonna, from a consumer choice standpoint, if you had an economical choice that was not using single-use plastics, that's a pretty good place to start. And so when you say, okay, it's not going to be petroleum as my number one product, that's just going to be a product that I'm going to throw away. You want it to be biodegradable. You want it to be bio-derived. So from there, it's like, well, you really only have two options. You have forestry, which is challenged and has its established industry, or you have agriculture fiber. When you talk about agriculture fiber, you have to think about it on an annual rotation. So it has this built-in sustainability factor that has this like call and check and balance from the farmers. So we really do have like a locked up, very secure, what's the word? Environmentally friendly, sustainability. There's a word I'm looking for, something catchy, but something catchy. We'll think of it after we're done here, though. But it's funny that you meant like, not funny, but I like the forestry industry. None of it has a dark cloud over it, but I mean, even a non-conscious environmental person can kind of think about, like cutting down trees and, obviously, we're doing our part in replanting and all that kind of stuff. But literally we're talking about a product that's already being created. It's a byproduct of harvesting our crops here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I should say, like, we're very aligned with the forestry companies too. Like,
Sure.
We're standing on the shoulders of the giants that walked before us. I don't know that business, but it's funny, John. One of the first people that I met when we went out to BC when I first joined the team, I met the chief forester for a really established, well-known for Canadian forestry company. He's the chief forester, and I got some time to talk about, what does a chief forester do? It's like, well, he's basically an advocate for the sustainability of all that feedstock. And so that was kind of a paradigm shift for me, thinking, hey man, like, I've got to act as our chief agronomist in a way. I have to be a steward of the land just like anybody else. And so we're very integrated, supportive of the forestry agency. Like I said, most of our products going to be blended with wood pulp anyway. It just is the way it is. But we're an incremental piece and delivering on a new technology.
Yeah. So. You when you mentioned eliminating single-use plastics there, I can't help but to think about Trudeau's drink box water bottles. Did you see that?
No.
Oh, okay. YouTube right now, if you can look up, just type in Trudeau drink box water bottle. So a little pretext to this.
So when you were saying novel products, that's where you were thinking. You're
I was hoping you were going to say that, but you can literally, if you made this, like if you got somebody to make this, right, that second one there. So just before you play, just a little pretext to this. They were talking about eliminating single-use plastics, and the question was posed to our Prime Minister: what's your family doing to be conscious about this? And all he had to say was, our family is moving away from single-use plastics. That's all he had to say. Yeah. And this is what he ended up saying. I can't believe you haven't seen this yet. Okay, listen here.
We have recently switched to drinking water bottles out of when we have water bottles out of plastic. Away from plastic towards paper. Like drink box water bottles.
Well,
right? I can't believe you hadn't seen that before. Like,
I can say he's got the gist of it. So I try to be as diplomatic as possible. And we the one nice thing about the project is we do have federal and provincial support. Because
so you can't laugh too much. I get where you're going with this.
I'm going a little bit, but he's got the right.
He does have the right idea. Yeah. They just could have been worded a little bit differently there, as I said before. But it was just funny. Single-use plastics.
He's very articulate.
I prefer a juice box.
Juice box. We're just using juice box now.
That'll be pulp by the end of drinking that.
Drink box water bottles. Unbelievable.
Yeah, no, it's really exciting. It's I think it means a lot for producers. Again, I just want to hammer down that economic opportunity. It's a good opportunity for generations to come and protect the land. That's really good.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Every time I talk to you about this, Kris, you get me more excited about it, because it's just like, again, as I just said before, like, it's a product that's already it's a byproduct of what we're doing already.
Yeah.
And the opportunity for a producer to add a little extra revenue stream, if you will, and with the advice and the, agronomy, all the agriculture advice you're going to be able to give these producers on how it won't affect soil conditions, soil quality, all that kind of stuff. I think it's a win-win.
And on the employment side too, so we talked about producers that supply their own straw, but then out of the ones that choose not to, we're going to have our own fleet and have the ability and step in, but we're also going to contract a large individual owner, operator, proprietors. It's probably in your area, likely the people that are doing this already.
Yep.
The folks that are baling flax for other producers. And so same thing on the app. Any of our contractors, they can sign on, fill out a profile, and they kind of establish their gross amounts, because one of the biggest challenges is just talking about all these terms. So like just to throw like some goofy acronyms, like there's ODT and then there's ADMT, and it's like all of these things, tonnage and bale, and like everybody's trying to account for things differently. So just standardizing the license. So we do that within the app, and then so you can kind of see the workflow. If a producer signs up for a contract but needs baling services, then we can directly match that with a baler that has that capacity and try to, so there's a little bit of that de-risking it, because you might actually know the person who's baling it already.
Sure,
and those employment opportunities as well, like that. Baling hay and stacking, like those are good, good labor jobs to have, even seasonal. So
well, and I know, like everything, with inflation and the price of equipment's going up, and I mean, like I think you said that you're processing the large square bales, right? Well, a large square baler is, that's no joke anymore. It's a lot of money. So if you've got a producer that's already bought something like that, doing a little bit of baling for themselves, maybe gets involved with Red Leaf, but it can also contract himself out.
Yeah, exactly.
There's yet another revenue stream for a producer,
and to have some control too. So
absolutely,
which field maybe get baled first if it's your own and you're doing for other too.
Exactly.
No, it's a lot to chug through, but at least now we can have some really good, meaningful producers, and they can look and feel and touch the app when it comes out. So it's good.
Yep. Anything else, Jay?
Man, I'm good.
Yeah, awesome.
This
has been so
Proud
good,
of you, buddy.
Yes,
thanks.
Yes.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, guys. Like I said, I get energized, John.
Yeah.
It's like I
It's
get
awesome.
re-energized. It's because most of my conversations are with producers, and it's pretty technical. And it's like, I'm not a sales guy. I don't really feel like selling you this, but it's a pretty good opportunity.
Yeah.
So
what I'm trying to say is our new brake pads are really cool.
Yeah. Exactly.
Again, congratulations on all this, man. Your ambition and creating the app and stuff, and just your drive is inspirational. So we want to have you back if you'd come back.
Absolutely.
Obviously myself and producer Jay and the listeners want to know how the whole project is going. So
absolutely.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you
pal.
so much,
John.
Kris. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.